Hey everyone, in today's video, I want to go over 5 must-dos when teaching opinion writing to kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade students. Now, I absolutely love teaching writing to primary students. While it can be a little bit challenging, I find it to be so rewarding when I teach students how to just enjoy sharing their stories and reminding them that they have so much to share. And opinion writing is a fun one because we all have opinions, and your primary students have more opinions than maybe even you do. And because of that, I feel like they just get how to share their opinions a little bit easier than some other writing genres, and they can get pretty good at providing reasons to support their opinion as well. Over the years, I've started to develop a real confidence in teaching writing to my youngest learners, so I wanted to share 5 of my favorite kind of tips and what I believe are must-dos when teaching this genre to your students. If you are ready, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and let's get started. Before I dive into must-do number 1, I do want to let you know I share this in the SJT Writing Club, but when I'm teaching opinion writing to kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade, kindergarten this won't apply, but the other 2 grades it does, I teach them opinion writing and then I teach them persuasive writing. Now they are definitely aligned, but I do this separately because in 1st and 2nd grade I will teach them how to write an opinion booklet where we really focus on sharing our opinions, like stating our opinions first and then giving reasons to support it. And then later in the year, we hop into persuasive writing because then we can call back what we learned in opinion writing and then add that extra step of trying to persuade someone else to change their opinion or come over to our side. So for this video, I'm just going to talk about opinion writing. I do have a whole video on persuasive writing over here if you want to check that out. Must-do number 1 when teaching opinion writing is to make sure you use mentor texts. Now, whether you are teaching students what an opinion is, maybe how to state an opinion in a story or provide reasons for it, these are some of the lessons that I usually teach when teaching opinion writing. Along the way, it's important to go ahead and use some mentor texts so students don't just hear you sharing what these should look like, but that way they can also hear this from other authors and see different ways to go about doing this. Some of my favorite mentor texts for teaching opinion writing include Red is Best by Kathy Stinson, The Perfect Pet by Margie Palatini, Hey Little Ant by Philip M. Hoos, and Animals Nobody Loves by Seymour Simon. Now, Red is Best and Perfect Pet are great for teaching students how to state their opinion and give some reasons to support it. I love Hey Little Ant because it provides 2 different perspectives and each perspective has, their own reasons to support their differing opinions. And then I also love Animals Nobody Loves simply because it is a nonfiction book and we don't see a lot of nonfiction kind of opinion writing. But in this book, the author will share some kind of creepy or scary animals that they think nobody loves and give reasons why. So if you're looking for any other mentor texts for your opinion writing unit, check those out. Must-do number 2 when teaching opinion writing to K-2 learners is model, model, model. Now, if you are in the SJT Writing Club or if you've watched some of my writing videos before, you will know that I actually model creating an entire piece within the genre with my students. So while I definitely sprinkle in mentor texts and things like that, I also go ahead and model explicitly the lesson of the day in front of the class as the I do before I send them off to go do it themselves. Also, if you're a member of the Writing Club, you will know that with each lesson, I actually share an image of exactly what I would write when teaching this to my students. So here's an example. Here you can see the planning our work step. So when I teach my students, okay, we're gonna plan out a story, we're gonna kind of brainstorm a little bit. Here I write my opinion, and then I brainstorm 2 reasons and I write them down there. And doing that, I actually, talk aloud and write these things in front of my students. Then in another lesson, we might stretch our reasons. So we'll take the 2 reasons I wrote on that graphic organizer beforehand, grab 2 pieces of paper, and go ahead and stretch those reasons onto these pages. And you can see I always put little notes here too, just to the teacher, saying be sure like your illustrations match the words, add some labels. This way students can see exactly what you want them to do. Then we go on to adding linking words. And again, here I have teacher notes and I give you exact examples of what I would add. That way when you're in the teaching process and you have my lesson in front of you and I'm like, teach your students to do this and then write it yourself. That way you're not questioning, well, what might that look like? You can just click the little link within the lesson and see exactly what I mean. So I do that for each step of the process. Now, I've also explained this before, but that might seem pretty time consuming, but especially in K1 and 2, you do want to be pretty explicit about the lesson you're teaching and what that might look like so students know what to do when they go back to their seats. Now also, I don't spend a ton of time on the illustrations. Those are really kind of sketched out quickly. I don't necessarily write in my neatest handwriting for that. I kind of brainstorm the idea, walk students through it, and model it in front of them. This has always been really helpful in teaching my students how to write. All right, must do number 3 when teaching opinion writing to K through 2 students is to teach them we all have different opinions. Now, this one might sound pretty obvious, but this is a great lead into why we need reasons to support our opinions, and I have 2 different ways I love to teach this lesson. The first, most simple way I like to have students do this and just get used to stating their opinions and seeing that other people might agree or disagree with you is to use would you rather questions. Now, I have a ton of them. Here is a unit right up here where I have kid-friendly digital slides, and there's over 110 different would you rather questions. If you actually want to go ahead and head over to that unit on TPT, you can download the preview and find 10 free slides and like journal toppers to use on your own with your kids. And it might be a great way for them to kind of introduce this unit. But what I like with would you rather questions is usually your whole class doesn't agree. So you can actually have them separate on this side and this side. They can talk about why they chose that option and again, give a reason to support it. The second activity I love for teaching that we all have different opinions is to use Storyworks Junior debate articles. Now I love these. I think I've shared this before on one of my videos. I don't know which one. If you go to the Storyworks Junior website and you click on debate, I'll link this part down in the description so you can just go right there. They always change which one is free, but there is a free option every time I've done this for the last, 5 or 6 years now. So when I went on today, this was the free option right here, this debate. And the debate is, should you invite everyone to your birthday party? And I also like the way they did this. They had a mother and daughter write a note to one another. And here Sophia is writing to her mom and she's saying, I can't wait for my birthday party. I've already planned out all these things for you. And she said the ice skating rink that she wants to hold her birthday party in only has 12 kids. So she's going to invite all of the girls in her class except for these 3 specific people. And now she actually provides some reasons why she thinks that's okay. But then her mom writes her a letter back from the other opinion. And she's like, well, I actually don't think that's okay. And here's some reasons why. One of the free ones in the past that I've done before was a debate about whether chocolate milk should be allowed to be served in school during lunchtime. And one student had a whole reason about why they thought it was not okay, and another student wrote up a little report about why they thought chocolate milk should be allowed and why it was okay. And it's really fun with any of these debates to throw it up on the doc cam, read through it first, and then have students kind of decide which side they agree with, and then go back into the passage and actually highlight or circle and identify the reasons each person gave for supporting their opinion. Just like using a mentor text, this is a great way for them to see other authors share their reasons, and that way they have ideas when they go back and add their own. Must do number 4 when teaching opinion writing to K through 2 learners is to use a checklist. Now at the end of all the genre writing units I do with my K through 2 students, we like to publish our piece, right? So this is kind of that last step of going back, rereading everything we wrote, looking at our illustrations, and making sure it's as good as it's going to get. Now, when they do this, I like to give them a checklist. Here's the example one I do for opinion writing. Within every genre, I actually have a very specific checklist that they have to follow because, each of the things they're going to look for will be different within each unit and the lessons that I teach. So this follows along exactly with the lesson plans in the opinion writing unit. So here, did I clearly state my opinion at the beginning? Did I provide at least one reason to support my opinion? Did I include any linking words? That was one of the lessons that we had. So they had to include and, because, or also, or some other examples. Did I add a conclusion to my opinion booklet? Did I go through my editing checklist? I have an editing checklist in each one, so that will always be there. And then of course they do one last check. Do I have detailed, colorful illustrations? And is my handwriting the neatest I can make it? Giving students their own checklist like this or displaying it on the board really gives them some ownership and independence with their writing. And especially in K1, I do model how to do this with my students. So I will say, oh, did I clearly state my opinion? Let me go back into my modeled writing, another reason I do this. And I go back into my modeled writing in front of the class and I identify, here is where I stated my opinion. Check, I can check it off. And then as students get used to that, especially in first grade, as we go through the year and they learn different genres, they can do a lot of that independently. The visuals help them be more independent as well. Lastly, must do number 5 when teaching opinion writing to K through 2 learners is to have students share their work. Now there's so many different ways you can go about doing this, but it's really important for our youngest learners to feel some pride and accomplishment when sharing their work. You could do something like a very formal author's chair where you pick a few students, one sits up front, they share their work. And just as a reminder, you don't have to have them share their entire story. Sometimes that can take a long time. It can be a little cumbersome, especially with your younger students who might not read their story as fluently as you would like. So what I like to have students do is pick out like their favorite page or the page that they're most proud of to go ahead and share with the whole class. This is especially fun with opinion writing because after students share their opinions, you can ask the class if they agree or disagree with that opinion and why, and kind of extend this lesson even further. Now I also want to mention that I don't just have my students share their work at the end of an entire genre unit. I also have them share little steps and things that they added along the way. For example, if we did a beginning lesson on I'm going to state my opinion and write it in my book, at the end of that lesson, I would have students look down, and for this lesson, I teach them different ways to start their opinion. So they could say, I believe, or I think. And I would have them identify it in their work. And then with the writing partner, I would have them quickly share, like before we pack up our writing folders for the day, and I would have them share the opinion that they wrote down and what starter they started with. So very quickly, they can just look at their work and share it with a partner. That way they're getting used to this writing being a collaborative process as well. All right, so there you have what I believe are 5 must-dos when teaching opinion writing to kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade students. I would love to know from you, do you do any of these lessons? If so, which one do you think is a must-do? Do you have a different must-do that you want to add? Go ahead and drop it down in the comments. As always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.